Welcome back to Advent with me, Bibi. Today, I was inspired to share a very specific Psalms, something that you'll probably be really familiar with. But before I do that, I want to, the sort of teaching or insight that I want to offer you today. First, I'm going to tell you a story. Growing up, I imagined God as a white male with a big beard, and I thought he lived on top of a cloud, and that he spent his time looking at me specifically to see when I was being bad, in air quotes, so that I could be punished. That was my impression of God. Gratefully, thankfully, over a period of time, my perception of God, Lord, has changed. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm not so grateful that it didn't happen sooner than it did, because it may have happened, like truly believing that the Lord, that God is on my side, is part of my team, and is literally helping me in any and every way she can to get me where I want to be. Probably didn't happen like until about a decade ago. There's a teaching I heard once that says that every blade of grass has a guardian angel that whispers to it, grow, grow, grow. And I loved that teaching. It really resonated with me, because if a blade of grass has a guardian angel, imagine my team. You know, I've got a team, like a major team behind me, helping me to grow. So I want to invite you to experience the word Lord a bit differently. But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to point to this candle. I mentioned yesterday that I prepare for these kinds of things with a candle. I have different kinds of candles depending on where I am. You're also taking a tour of the places where I pray and create. Here's another space. I love to be free. Like, freedom is important to me. So having an opportunity to be in different places, to just kind of, when I get inspired, just be there. So you've seen a couple of my spaces. Here's a space that you may not be familiar with. It helps me to see the evening sunset. And as a bonus, what I just thought of before I started recording, and actually recorded a little clip for you. My editing skills are not on point, people, so give me some grace. At the end of this video, I'm going to add my tree that I've been growing for, well, God and I have been growing for, and True Green have been growing for 10 years? 2012 minus 20, 8 years. And she's beautiful, and she's dancing in the wind, and my prayer ties are hanging from her, and the sun is setting behind her. So that's what I see sitting in this spot. I would pull the camera off and turn it around, but that will be crazy. Crazy business. I don't want to do that. So you will be able to experience that at the end of this video. And it can actually be another way for you to reflect, another way for you to experience this. So back to my notes. Before I read this Psalms to you, what I wanted to share is in the Bible, we see the word Lord, spelled Lord, hundreds of times, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And what I want to invite you to do is to not experience this word as something that is into your intellect, not to experience it as whatever object, whatever frame of reference you've given it, and to allow it to be new. In the original Hebrew, the word Lord was actually 4 consonants, YHVH. And I heard this from a teaching from Richard Rohr, and it resonated so deeply with me that I want to share it with you now. Because in many traditions, I don't know what tradition you are, but this, you may be familiar with this already, but in many traditions, the word Lord or the concept of God is so sacred, so holy that it cannot be pronounced. So, oh, the candle just went out. So the name Lord is unpronounceable if you go back to the original Hebrew, because it is in all consonants. And I kind of was preparing myself mentally to give you an example of this. So again, what I'm inviting you to do is to experience this word in its original Hebrew with the consonants YHVH without relying on what you already think it is. I shared with you my story of what I thought Lord was, and now how I experience Lord. So if you pronounce YHVH without any vowels, it can sound like this. So imagine that our breath, and there's so many stories in the Bible related to our breath and that initial breath, and just your breathing can be a thermometer for your experience. What if the name of God is the sound of breathing? Because in the original Hebrew, those letters are what was then translated into English as Lord. And in Hebrew, the word for breath is spirit. So experience, the invitation I'm offering you today is to experience the Psalms, maybe in a different way than you have in the past. And I doubt that it'll be unfamiliar to you, but if it is, truly sink into the word Lord as a breath. And actually, what I've just been inspired to do is just replace the word Lord with my breathing as I read this to you. This is Psalms 23. And just as a insight, because this is a vlog, my current practice is to reflect in the morning. That's the very first thing I do to bring in inspiration and to ask what I should teach you. And when I opened my companion journal, this is literally what came up, is to share this with you. And so this is Psalms 23. Is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures, she gives me hope, repose. Beside restful waters, she leads me. She refreshes my soul. She guides me in right paths for her name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side. With your rod and your staff, that gives me courage. You spread the table before me in the sight of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of years to come.